Man, Toledo makes and does cool stuff. A great example of that is Hollomon Custom Drums. I got to catch up with those guys the other day. Let's go check that out right now. Hollomon Custom Drums is a father and son owner-operated company based right here in Toledo, Ohio. As you can see, they make some beautiful drums, and as you're about to find out, they do it for all the right reasons.
My name is Bob Hollomon.
And Rob Hollomon.
He wanted a really nice snare drum. I couldn't afford one, so I said, well, I'll build one. And after, 12, 15 years later, I found out how to build a good snare drum. The first one I gave him wasn't great, although it did sound pretty good. And that sort of sparked the whole company.
Yeah, I was working at a drum shop, and I brought the snare drum in one day on a Saturday and was kind of working on it while dealing with customers. And a couple people came up and were like, that's really cool. Where did you get that? And it didn't have a badge on it or anything, obviously. So I explained that we had built this drum. And then, a couple guys were like, hey, can you do that for me? And next thing you know, we started making snare drums for other people, and it just kind of took off.
So Hollomon Drums was off and running. And as I found out, a lot goes into making these things look and sound so great.
Stave drums have segments that are vertical, so it's basically built like a barrel. And this is segmented where the grain runs horizontally. And it's simple math. You'd have to have 360 degrees to make a circle. So this example of segmented, make individual segments, glue them together, then those are all flat sanded, and then these are glued with this scene here. You take this, you flat sand those, and you put those together, and depending on how deep the shell will be, determines how many segments you have to have.
Then what we do is we'll take the shell, we'll clamp it together on a jig and with a router, and we'll turn it, and that's how you get the shell to come out as a perfect circle. We can make anything from a 10-inch drum up to a 22-inch drum, and the depth is same. I mean, we can make as small as a piccolo all the way up to 22 inches in depth. The wood species that we carry are all domestic: hickory, maple, birch, walnut, cherry, ash, some figured woods. The biggest thing with the shells in these designs is they have about 200% less glue as a plied shell. Because a normal plied shell, you have your piece of veneer, they glue all the way around it, then you have another veneer, and you do that 6 to 8 to 10, 12 times, depending on how many plies it is. For this stave shell, it's just got glue for each stave individually, so there's only 20 on there. So you can think about how much glue you're saving, so it's a more organic sound.
So like I mentioned before, this father and son duo are making these incredible drums for all the right reasons, even if they are just the little guy on the block.
We'll stay here as long as we're able to. This is a pretty humble building, but I've always said that if people realized what we did, where we did it, they would have two options. They would either walk away and say, these guys are crazy, there's no way they can build a good instrument with this equipment, or they would say, wow, they're dedicated, I'm in. But we just let the instruments speak for themselves.
All right, thanks to Bob and Rob over at Hollomon. Those guys are great. Trust me, I got to play them. I'm not a very good drummer, but I am a drummer sometimes. I got to play those drums. They sound as incredible as they look. Great work.